second player here on our list that has made the jump from the championship to the Premier League.
And I love Danny Williams.
28-year-old.
I told you just before the show, I think he's a better option than Costa for the national team. They play the same. They basically play the same position.
Way better
as a box-to-box mid. He's a physical presence. He just goes up and down the pitch. When you watch him play, you see this guy just go up and down, up and down, up and down. Physical, strong on the ball. It's interesting because people have been clamoring for Danny Williams to play for a national team more. And I just don't see why he's not getting a call-up. He's a good player, and now he's going to play in the top level
and here's another,
English football.
Here's another question that just came to my mind is whether or not Bruce Arena favors MLS players over European.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think that hinders a name like Danny Williams, who hasn't necessarily been in the spotlight. He has scored phenomenal goals for the U.S. He has made some appearances.
Yeah, he has. And
22
I think he is
appearances for the national team.
I think he's a fantastic player. I think him along with Bradley would be really interesting to see because he's not defensive. He can go up and down the pitch as well. So, and Bradley is more of a defensive-minded player. So it's like what Acosta does. It's legit exactly what Acosta does.
And he's better. He's 28 years old. He's more mature, and he's played against better quality.
And he's a lot better. And it's no offense to Kellen Acosta at all. He's a fantastic player. But Danny Williams has the experience, and I think his game is more polished than Kellen Acosta's right now.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Absolutely. All right, Emerson Heidman, who has a connection here to Dallas.
Yeah, he played for the Dallas Academy. His grandfather was the old SC Dallas coach, Shellis Heidman. Mm-hmm. He's a coach at Grand Canyon University right now.
So, FC Dallas to Fulham.
Yep, and then Fulham to Bournemouth and then loan to Rangers.
Now back at Bournemouth. 21 years old, so there is a little bit of pressure for him.
I mean, people are saying it's a make or break year for him.
It is, because at 21 years old, if you're not going to get first team action, you need to go find a club to play. And actually, the reason why that's so important is you see a lot of national teams do this, where they make their players, if you're not a regular starter at your squad, you don't play for the national team.
Yeah.
And you that's a good rule to implement. So if Heidman wants to play for the national team, a 21-year-old midfielder, which is what the U.S. men's national team needs. Somebody to replace.
And he's very creative. I'll tell you that. He is not the level of Pulisic, but the same creative mindset.
That's what
you know what I'm saying?
Talked about a couple of shows
right,
ago.
Exactly.
That creativity, where is it coming from? Heidman's an option. Now, he needs to play for Bournemouth. Bournemouth are an excellent squad.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to be fighting relegation battle. Unlike Danny Williams.
Eddie Howe, fantastic manager.
Yes. And Danny Williams and Yedlin will be facing that survival instinct.
Right.
While Heidman's club, they're going to be pretty safe. They scored a lot of goals. They also allowed a lot of goals in. But that creativity with Jermaine Defoe up front is going to be great.
I don't know if he'll play though. That's my thing. I don't know, because he played well on loan at Rangers, and Eddie Howe was really interested in wanting to keep him and whatnot. But I don't think he'll play that much. To be fair, honestly.
All right, last but not least is the young Cameron Carter-Vickers. Tottenham.
Vickers. He's a really powerful defender, and he's another one of those center backs that the United States has that just strong and powerful in the air, and pretty big.
He made his Tottenham debut last year in a 5-0 winning over Gillingham in the
FA Cup or EFL?
The
EFL Cup. Yeah, and again, Tottenham's back line is pretty freaking good.
Well, that's the thing, is he's playing at a club of that stature. Pochettino has liked him. He's come out saying that.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
Liked him.
But he's not going to break the first team. I don't think so.
Not yet.
I think he still has a little bit more time to develop, which means I don't know if he'll be in the World Cup roster. I mean, again, it's an issue for another day.
Well, how old is he?
About 19, I want to say.
Well, that's the thing, is he's still so young.
He's still young, 19, 20.
Now, but if Bruce Arena is smart, you bring him in.
Yeah, I think so.
I think a player like that, you bring him in.
That's against your rule, though.
He doesn't play, but he's so young. You reserve 1 or 2 spots for the young guys.
Right, like they did for Julian Green.
You bring the experience. You bring them to. Theo Walcott famously did this in 2000, and I think 6 was with the England World Cup. It wasn't with the 2010. It was such a flip flop of what should have happened. But Cameron Wickers should be on the roster.
You think?
Yes, because playing at Tottenham, you're surrounded yourself with such talent. You're going to learn from Eric Dyer. You're going to learn from these center backs.
Kieran Trippier.
Huh?
Kieran Trippier.
Yeah.
All those defenders. Defenders are quality, exactly.
But I think he's going to get more playing time. And it depends on how much playing time. Now, what I would recommend him doing is if he doesn't get enough playing time in December, by December, you ask him to go on loan for the World Cup. Because that is where a lot of these players get Jeff Cameron, DeAndre Yedlin, Danny Williams, Heidman, and Cameron Carter Wickers. Vickers. They all need to be playing. That is the most important thing when it comes to their World Cup spot in this upcoming Premier League season.
Exactly.
It's health and playing.
Exactly. And the only thing that might backfire against Cameron is, Cameron Carter Vickers, is the fact that there's so many quality center backs with the United States national team. So many. And I think... I don't think he'll get that spot.
I like the pairing. If Cameron Vickers is as good as people say he is, pair him up with Jeff Cameron and Brooks for a back three.
There we go. That's my back three right there.
You have three defenders playing at top quality and playing against top quality. So when Germany comes attacks them, they're not going to poo-poo themselves.
Yeah, but Cameron Carter Vickers, I think, is too young for that. I think maybe an Omar Gonzalez would be a better fit.
Hey,
that's just my opinion.
A lot of things can happen. Remember Christian Pulisic where he was last year at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
Alrighty, the Premier League special continues.
Yep, Premier League.
That was our American discussion. Now let's get into some other things American related when it comes to the Premier League.
Yeah, we still get the American twist on this, guys. We're not going all out Premier League. We're not selling out on you guys. We promise.
When it comes to soccer, what is more important, the MLS or Premier League here in the States? When it
comes to soccer growth, MLS is obviously important. When it comes to popularity, it's obviously the Premier League that's more popular than the MLS.
How much do you enjoy getting up Saturday mornings and the first thing you can do is you flip on the television, turn to NBC Sports, and there's Premier League football.
Honestly, I like it a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I love it.
It's a phenomenon that no league here in America can replicate.
Oh yeah, maybe also have NFL
going to London.
Well, yeah.
But the product of Premier League football is fantastic. It's 90 minutes, so it's really an hour and 45 because you have the 15-minute halftime.
Yeah,
but there's no extended time.
All the games start on time, unlike MLS.
Yeah, they start on time. They start on time, and you know when the game's going to end. You pretty much know, unless something does an absolute disaster, like Fabrice Nwamba. Who collapsed in the middle of the field and the game was suspended and all that. Unless something like that happens, you're not going to sit there for 4-5 hours like you see in Major League Baseball. NFL is 3 hours long. That's twice the length of a soccer game. Even the MLS length. But the product of Premier League and the broadcast NBC does is great.
Oh,
it's phenomenal.
Honestly, when NBC purchased the rights, I think a lot of people were worried, but it's better than Fox Soccer. We all hated Fox Soccer. I hated Fox Soccer.
Fox Soccer was awful.
It was terrible.
It was cheap. It felt cheap, but NBC has really invested into this product.
And they invested into it, and now we've gotten access to see all the Premier League games, but that's changing.
Yeah, well, it's changing, but let's set it up here. Sports Media Watch. The 2016-17 English Premier League season averaged 420,000 viewers per window across the NBC family of networks.
I mean, that's not a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but
half a million.
Yeah.
But think about these windows depend because they could be at 6
a.m.,
8, 9.
Is there a specific breakdown of the?
There's not.
Okay.
But down 18% from last year and down 12% from 2014 and 15.
I wonder why.
Well, we'll get to that here in a second. And it's been the smallest since their broadcast rights have been obtained in 2013.
Wow.
But do you know what the number was actually at ESPN and Fox Sports 2012, 2013. They only averaged 220,000. So NBC Sports when they obtained the Premier League rights, they instantly doubled.
And the thing is, they also put their games on like the local NBC station, CNBC if they don't have room. I mean, people have these channels. I never really had Fox Soccer, to be honest. And the ESPN games, it'd be like, okay, one game that showcase maybe like every other week. It was pretty
always
dull.
the big games. It was Arsenal, Chelsea.
It was
I
pretty
remember
dull.
that when Percy had like a hat trick and it was like a 4-2 game.
It was really dull. Their coverage was very dull.
Yeah, and they only broadcasted the big games. Now, the thing is, TV ratings across every sport here in America has declined. NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, MLS have all taken a hit the last year.
It's because everyone's making that switch or cord cutting.
Cord cutting. According to Nielsen, the number of people without TV pay, meaning cutting the cord, went up by 8.4 million between 2012 and 2016.
Not surprised at all.
They're going to alternative ways. NBC did see a spike in online viewership, which is good. You see decline. I wonder now what they should do is average to see what the growth was by actual viewership, and then tack it on to what they saw on the television.
Right. Yeah. But like you said, everyone's switching to streaming now. A lot of people switch. A lot of people don't have cable. They'll go get Sling TV or something like that, and that's their way of streaming the matches.
If you're an American soccer fan and you love the European leagues, everybody who's listening to this podcast, which is a lot of people, so don't be surprised if you see other people raising their hands at some random point. Raise your hand right now if you have watched an online soccer game illegally.
I'm raising my hand.
Everybody's done that. That is a typical soccer fan. So it's like people have the market and the appetite to go out and search on the internet for 15 minutes to find which link actually broadcasts the game.
I spent an hour trying to find a link once, so I was committed.
Yeah,
I was trying to watch a random league game, but yeah, people are committed to finding these games. So yeah, there is a market, there is a demand for Premier League soccer, there's a thirst. And it was so exciting when we saw NBC take over the rights, and every game, you had Premier League extra time. You could go online and stream all these games.
Yeah.
And now it's gone.
It is kind of gone, and we're going to get to that, the Premier League Gold Pass. We'll talk about that. But I want to ask you, what do you think here in America? The most popular clubs is Arsenal. The most popular club is Arsenal.
We're both wearing Arsenal jerseys right now, actually.
It is. But I'm an Arsenal supporter.
I just like the jersey. I think it's cool.
Okay, he wears I don't know. Don't ask me. You can get on his case, not mine. I have to Armand Kafai. What's your Twitter handle?
We'll say at the end of the show, man. Say it at the end of the show.
Okay, but the most talked about clubs here on Twitter is Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea.
The big teams.
The big teams, obviously the six. Now, what club do you think is the highest based on television average?
Liverpool.
By good margin. They average close to 500,000.
Okay.
But what club last year was broadcasted every of their games was broadcasted on the television?
Man United?
Yes. Did you read this chart?
No, that was a guess.
Just guessing?
I mean,
but Liverpool had 2 less appearances than...
People love Liverpool in the United States.
They do. I mean, the TV shows it. But Manchester United was third on the list. Who was second? Guess who was second?
Chelsea?
No, City.
Oh,
the new boys. Who spent a lot of money. $500 million in the last 2 years. Third was Arsenal. Now, here's the most surprising. Who do you think was fifth?
Let me think. Spurs?
No, West Ham.
That actually makes sense because I remember seeing West Ham on TV a lot.
No, they weren't on television all that long.
Really?
On TV viewership, they averaged the fifth most. When their games were broadcasted, they averaged fifth most. But they were only broadcasted 18 times.
But were their games broadcast against the big teams?
That probably could.
That's probably their numbers inflated a little bit.
Interesting. Who do you think was least broadcasted?
Who was relegated? Probably like a Burnley or something.
No, West Brom. But
West Brom's a good team though.
But they're smack dab in the middle when it comes to actual viewership.
So it's no excitement, you know. They're also smack dab in the middle of the table too. So I mean, they're not about to get relegated, not about to win the league. So I mean, I guess no one really cares about that middle spot.
Going back to our American point, Stoke City. You would think Stoke City would get some sort of spike because there's an American playing. They're the third.
I'm telling you, he's underrated. Jeff Cameron's underrated.
Third worst.
It's like people don't know who he is.
third worst.
Quality player.
But the television, broadcast is important. Now you have Fox, the introduction of Bundesliga.
And